Hey guys, honestly, I think that Auriel is one of the strongest heroes in the game right now. She already was very, very strong with her win rate sitting around 53 to 54%, and then for Resurrect to just get buffed so much that it is absolutely incredibly powerful. There are almost no ults in the game that have as much one-to-one value as this one. What I mean is one-to-one value is how much a single ability can do as far as a health bar, a mana bar, or whatever. A point and click ability that can do a full health bar in either healing or damage is insane. But to be able to do that even after you die is even crazier. So if you have Ariel with Resurrect, you are absolutely going to be doing so much. So I'm going to talk about this build that I like. Watch my energy bar really quick. Shooting up whenever I use my Q, and I use Swift Sweep so I can use my Q very quickly. You're going to notice that I almost never have an energy problem. When we need heals, we get heals, and it's as simple as that. Outside of maybe Ana throwing a grenade here and there. But as in general, it is a build that is going to be doing a lot of healing. Now, you don't normally need a battery. I'm lucky enough to have two pretty good batteries this game, but they've actually shifted a lot of your energy generation from being on allies to being yourself. For example, if I use one Swift Sweep down a full wave where my Q is going to hit the middle of the wave, or sorry, the middle of my Q is going to hit the majority of the wave, I'll get almost an entire energy bar. Even if I just Q kind of off to the side a little bit, I get a full energy bar. Or half an energy bar if it's off to the side a little bit. There are a lot of things that you can do, and I love Swift Sweep. So Swift Sweep just makes it to where your cast time is just a teeny bit faster, and that is it. But that teeny bit allows you to walk up, Q, walk away. Heal, walk up, Q, walk away. And you sneak in an auto attack before or after your Q to get just that little bit of extra energy, and you'll notice how fast my energy is constantly moving up. I do like to get quick knockbacks onto walls. You'll see that here or there. I'm not the best at that, but I'm also not terrible either. If you notice something about my positioning, though, and I'm actually going to pull up my paint here. Let's get some transparent paint going. But yeah, I want to show you guys my positioning whenever I try to get near walls. If I see a wall that's right here, what's the best position to be in if the enemies are going to be, let's say there's an enemy right here, you want to make sure that you can hit a sweep in this, and probably even this direction, which means that you have this wide open area to be anywhere in there. You have all this other area where you shouldn't be, so you shouldn't be in this area, or even over here, because then you're going to get killed. But there are areas you can be in, so I always like to be in those positions. Now, let's reset this, and let's say, for example, there's this wall right here. Let's say that the enemies are right here. Again, I should be in that position. Say the enemies are right here, I should start moving down. So let's say the enemies aren't here anymore. Let's say that they're down here. Now you want to position yourself to where you can get that slam off. So once again, the directions that you can land that slam is right about here, maybe right there, there, which means that you should be essentially here. So you're going to notice that my positioning is not just moving to land a stun, but sometimes I don't like to move to land a stun. One of my favorite things to do is, let's say that the objective is this objective right up here, and that's the objective that's going. Instead of me moving around into a position to land a stun, I'm actually just going to plant myself right here. And then the first person that walks through this is immediately going to get stunned. And if they don't, then they're going to have to walk the long way. So anyone who walks this way is going to get stunned, followed by a sweep, which is going to give me a full energy bar, as well as it's going to do a chunk of damage and CC them. And so their choice is go this way, take a ton of damage, and give me a free heal, or their choice is going this way, and then we get so much more time to DPS. So standing in a position where you're going to get a wall slam is more important than repositioning yourself to get said wall slam. But yeah, that's my big thing on that. Now, you may see some other Auriel players that have been going Searing Light. That's okay. Searing Light is a more aggressive, frontline heavy playstyle of it, I play a safe Auriel. Both builds are viable. I play safe Auriel. What safe Auriel does is you go in, you land a Q that gives huge energy, and you're so quick with it that you can immediately walk away. You're going to notice that when I get the opportunity to heal my allies and one other target, I try to wait to heal one other target. But the number one rule, and there should be like a priority chart on this, right? Like if I was to make a notepad priority, which you'll see, I do knockbacks into bushes a lot where people think that they're safe, and I'll just do a quick knockback. But if there was a priority in this, what it should be is heal someone who is about to die. That's number one. If no one's about to die, your next priority should be heal as like AoE, as many people as you can at once. So you want to kind of wait for that. Next is you're going to heal for stacks at 16. The next is going to be heal to top off. And that should be your order of healing. If someone's going to die, heal them immediately and ignore everything else. Otherwise, try to heal AoE so you get the most efficient heals. Otherwise, heal every time that you have max energy so that you can get those stacks off. And finally, you want to go for and right there, you could see I slammed Mal'Ganis into that, and then I immediately sweeped, got a full energy bar, and healed my team. Like, you can keep your whole team topped off really, really well with Auriel these days. But yeah, so that's my kind of priority on healing with her. Keeping people topped off is pretty important because your cooldown of your W is actually rather long. It says only 4 seconds, but it feels much longer because that's your only way of healing people. And you need to have that energy too. So it feels like when you're getting a lot of energy, it feels like a really long cooldown. When you're not, it doesn't. That's why I recommend topping people off a lot. You're going to see me throwing heals out a lot just so I'm not wasting a full energy bar. So I don't like waiting until people go below half health. So again, slam into the wall, Q, full energy bar, and then I'm going to wait for us to get sleeped. I'm going to wait for us to take some damage, and then I'll heal. And I wait till it's AoE. Remember, no one was about to die, so I waited for it to be AoE. Got a nice slam, and again, that wasn't a slam of I repositioned to get that slam. That was a slam of I sat in the way that the enemies needed to go to kill my team. Okay, so it's all positioning. All of this stuff's important. So this is a ranked game now, albeit it's not full masters. I want to say there's 1 masters on both team, and that's it. But this does kind of give you an idea of, and that Ana got me there, but normally I pay attention to it a little bit better. And again, if you're ever low, you should always walk to your ally that's ranged to get that extra heal. So you can heal yourself and an ally. Don't try to walk to melee to get that, though, because you're likely going to just die trying to do that. Level 7, I pick up Energized Cord. What Energized Cord does is it makes to where it increases the amount of damage, the amount of energy you get from your own auto attacks by 120% against heroes and by 55% against non-heroes. So you do a lot. You get a lot of energy from those, and that's why I really like this talent. I think this talent's really good. Now, there are other talents you can go. I don't like this talent because I don't like putting my trait on someone who's not going to be doing a lot of damage. And that's usually the tank. So it's like, would you like to get a little bit of healing back from your tank? Now, if you have a bruiser like a Sonya who's going to be doing a lot of damage and taking a lot of damage, this is a pretty good talent because you're just getting a lot of healing from it. Glimmer of Hope's also okay on maps like Braxis where you might be near waves the whole time. But even then, I like to go energizing. And then here's Resurrect. Resurrect is insanely good these days, guys. Now, there's still downsides to it. One of the biggest downsides about Resurrect is that if you resurrect at a bad time, then you're going to give the enemies 2 kills and 2 kills worth of experience. So it can be really bad, but it can be so good too. One of the reasons why it's so... Look at that Swift Sweep. Half my energy instantly from Swift Sweep. And then boom, wait till it's AoE, big heal. I mean, I'm doing so much healing for my team. So much CC leading to kills. Both the kills we got were from me slamming them against the wall. The Mal'Ganis over here and the Zul'jin over here. So it... super strong. Like, you lead to so many kills if you get good at her whip, her detainment strike. I don't use my heal here only because while it is a good top off time, the global gets you mostly to full. Right here, so watch for trait usage and know the range of your E. because if you ever see something that you can interrupt, your E is amazing at interrupting it. In this case, boom, interrupted, taken out. So all 3 of our kills that we've gotten have been led to by my CC. Now, he likely would have died from a Horrify anyways, but I'm still going to count that as my kill because he shouldn't have used Horrify there. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. He wasn't expecting me to stun either, so it's not bad on his part. Just saying, if we didn't have that Horrify, I still would have gotten that kill, so I'm going to count it as my kill. As far as your quest goes, the faster you get this done, the faster you start blowing people up, because it only does bonus 50 damage right now, but when you complete it, it does bonus 310 damage, which is insane. One more time, look at where I repositioned. Did you see we were all running away? I turned back around because if I was to bring out the paint, which direction is he going to go? He's going to be going this direction. Oh, lovely. He's going to be going this direction. I was running away this direction, which means I may never get, if I don't turn around, I'll never get in a position where I can stun him because all of my stuns are going to be going like this, right? So none of them are ever going to hit him because I'm going to be moving as fast as he's going to be moving. So I turned back, went here, so that my angle would send him into a wall. Now, he ended up going straight at me, so it actually ended up working out for me a little bit sooner than I was expecting, but that's the positioning that you want to do. And then again, just keep people topped off. And there's my quest done. Now I do an extra 260 damage, or 310 damage. And it's brutal now. So I can slam someone against a wall and do a huge chunk of their health. And that damage is all going to go to... because it's 60% of the damage I deal gives me energy. So that essentially is giving me like a 200 health heal. It's really, really good. But yeah, Resurrect is busted these days. It's honestly one of the best ults in the game. Pyroblast doing enemy damage with a nano boost can equal almost a full health bar if you're ahead. It equals a full health bar. If you're not ahead, then it's not a full health bar. Some AoEs, if the enemies are clustering, is a full health bar. But this is the only ult in the game that is reliably a full health bar. So for 1-to-1 value, it is the most valuable ult in the game. 1-to-1 non-situational, it's the best ult in the game. Maybe arguably Alex Strauss's can be better because you can give a bigger health bar, and you can heal 2 people a little bit at the same time, but there's so many situations where it doesn't work, while this works even if you die. So again, Mal'Ganis is... You're a counter to Mal'Ganis. If he sleeps and charges towards your team, just knock him back. Right here, just immediately resurrect this guy. First person to die on your team, you always immediately resurrect. Because a lot of times these fights go really favorable for you. I'm just quickly healing myself. I walk away. But if you resurrected the person that you had your trait on, make sure to reapply your trait. So Gul'dan was the person I had my trait on. I reapplied it to Lunara before I resurrected Gul'dan. And suddenly, there we go. We're right in this. We had an amazing resurrect. We win the objective. We killed 2 of them, and we're good to go. This is the exact reason why Rez is so good. This is kind of best case scenario for Rez. I mean, this isn't even best case scenario. Best case scenario for Rez is like you Deathmosh in there, and then when Deathmosh is over, you Rez. Or you redemption value out of Uther, and when that's over, you Rez. Like, that's best case scenario. This is just standard usage, and standard usage is so good. That being said, let's talk about the rest of the build. I go Piercing Lash, but both of these are still okay. If you need multiple interrupts for someone like a Rag trait or a Mosh or anything like that, Converging Force is just a slight interrupt that's pretty good. Blinding Flash is good if they're using like a Twin Blades as their like hyper carry. But I like Piercing Lash because not only does it make it to where my E pierces, it also makes it to where I lower the cooldown if I hit a bunch of people. Even if I just hit 2 seconds off of my cooldown. So it's really good. So I switch back to Gul'dan there. Another thing, too, is if you get good at Auriel, be good at switching your trait around to who's doing damage. Well, the lazy Auriels might just look at the damage stat and go, Lunara is doing the most damage. Let me switch to Lunara. That's kind of a bad idea because some people do damage over time for long periods of time, or some people just get a free attack onto someone for a long period of time, so they inflate their hero damage. You want to get an eye at who's doing damage at one time. You're actually going to see me every once in a while hat the Gazlo right before he fires off his laser, and then hat the Lunara or the Gul'dan again as we get to the later portions of this game. So you'll see that here and there. We need to get out of the stun range. As long as we get out of the stun range, we're good. And that is it. So this is ultimately where Auriel is, but at the moment I think that she's the best healer in the game. I think that she is a little bit more difficult than some other healers. Like Lucio for me is my favorite healer. If you're kind of new to healers, he's my favorite healer for doing very little and getting a ton of value out of. But I think Auriel is the best at the moment. So what I'd recommend is doing this build and just using your Q to get a lot of energy. Keep your trade on whoever. And then try not to use your E. I think the E is going to be the biggest thing for people that are new at Auriel. If you screw up this E, if you notice the majority of my E's are turning into stuns. If you screw up this E, you can send someone away that your team would have killed. So have some discipline when using your E. Don't just fire it off every time that it's out. Try to use your E only when it's going to be good. And this may take a lot of practice to get good at, but it's super important. So right here, even if I die, I'm just going to res myself. But that's okay. I can heal myself. I can knock him back. I actually derped the knockback not once, but twice while fighting this guy. So right there, I think I do it one more time. Maybe not. But either way, that's good. Joanna died. I'm just going to res her. Boom. I'm very liberal with my resurrects. If it's in a situation where we get a couple kills and we trade someone, I'm going to immediately resurrect. If it's the first person that dies in a fight, I'm going to immediately resurrect. The only times that I won't resurrect is when we get absolutely destroyed in a team fight and I don't want to res someone who's just going to die immediately again. Those are the only times I really don't resurrect. But if we are in the middle of like a long fight and someone dies, immediately resurrect them. I do sometimes prioritize, you're going to notice this, but sometimes I prioritize healing people that are, and right there, if I would have knocked back, she would have survived. So I didn't use knockback. You can see that's the one ability I didn't use. If I would have knocked her back, she would have lived. And I didn't knock her back because I wanted to make sure to get everything that we can. Now, I do have level 16, so what are the rules, right? What are the rules that I set up on my notepad? Heal someone who's about to die. No one was about to die there. Heal AoE. So I get myself grouped up for AoE, and I needed to get myself up to the full stack or the full energy bar for the stacks at level 16. Then I can heal. And so I do all of those things. If we're not in danger, I do all of those things. I'm stacking something called Reservoir of Hope. What Reservoir of Hope does is each maximum energy ray of heaven Auriel casts increases the maximum of energy that is stored. I love this talent because what this talent does for you is it allows you to do bigger heals when fights start getting crazy and when everyone on both teams is doing way more damage. Because your energy bar gets rather limited when you have a battery that's going to be giving you a ton of energy throughout a fight and when you're getting a ton of energy throughout fights. So I love this talent for that. However, if you have a hyper carry on your team like a Vala that is staying alive the entire time, Will of the Heaven is amazing to keep her getting that extra attack speed. Extra spell power is not terrible either if you do have someone that's going to be doing a lot of spell damage. But for the most part, Reservoir of Hope gives me that huge energy bar when we reach the late games. If you've ever seen an Auriel heal someone for their entire health bar, that's because they're stacking Reservoir really well. I would say on average, I end off games with about 10 stacks of Reservoir, but you can go way more. In Brawls, I've gotten up to like 50, 60 stacks before, but for the most part, end most games. Always follow up a CC with another CC if you can. If you saw, again, I repositioned after the first stun landed so that I can fire my stun off right afterwards. Auriel, if you want to carry with Auriel, you need to get really good with Detainment Strike. It's not just her healing. Her healing is kind of her basic. Everyone that plays Auriel should get good at her basic. In this case, I walked away because I didn't want to get stunned. Then I walked back in just like an idiot. I don't know. Again, is anyone dying right now? No. So what I'm going to do is try to get to full energy before. I actually fire it right before I get to full energy, though, so that's kind of lame. One more auto attack would have gotten it. Wait till the bar highlights and starts flashing. Then you're good. When we take this, I look at the situation and I go, you know what? Mal'Ganis is coming up soon. Evren's coming up soon. We can't end the game. So I tell my team to back off. I get my swift sweep. If I didn't take that talent, I would have gotten that kill. So right here, I'm not liking this fight. I stun Ragnaros. We get another kill. But I'm really not liking this fight. So I believe I tell my team to just back off. Could be wrong on that. Here's a great example of something that I wouldn't res, is if someone dies here as we're running away, I would not resurrect them. Because we're going to be running away. We don't want to wait for 3 seconds. And so I just wouldn't res anyone. Auriel's also a fun healer because you often never need to back. So if you ever need to cover lanes while your whole team's backing, she's great for that because you can just go to a lane, use a Q, and you're good. Back in the day, there was a support one trick. He played support from bronze all the way up to masters. He did the whole thing in 4 days. And he played Rhaegar and Auriel primarily. He actually used to go increasing clarity because he said it was the only way to actually do wave clear as Auriel, and people in low ranks don't do wave clear. So in bronze, he would go increasing clarity. Do I recommend that? I mean, maybe, but in general, I'm not a huge fan of it because it doesn't scale very well. Once you get that 180 increased damage, it's done, and it's slow. So where I normally slam someone and then immediately swipe them and walk away and we get a kill, I would slam them and then I'd have to wait for it to do its whole damage. So that's why I like Swift Sweep, and I just find it's just easier to get value out of it, and it's so much safer. But in general, I mean, this is what you're looking at. So this level, if they're picking down one person at a time, go light speed. If they're hitting your entire team at once, I still like Shield of Hope. I think it's really good. I never really take Angelic Flight, although it is interesting. I'll just say that. But light speed allows it to where you have a 40-second cooldown on your ult if that person doesn't die, and they also get a movement speed burst. So let's say that you guys are like pushing forward in a fight, and everyone on your team, let's say we're blue team, everyone on your team is like pushing forward. Your tank is pushing forward, your team's pushing forward, and someone dies and you res them back here. Then after you res them, you start heading forward as well. It gives them that burst of speed so that they can just skyrocket forward and still catch up to your team right after the res is over. So not only does it give them an out, it also gives them an in case you're like resing your tank when your whole team's running in. But I usually take it for the cooldown reduction, to be completely honest. And by the way, guys, on my main account and my Smurf, I am currently first picking Auriel every game while I'm ranking up. I currently have a 100% win rate with Auriel over 15 games after this season has started, and she is absolutely just dominating between my main account and my Smurf. So bear with me. I think probably 9 of those games are on my Smurf, and 5 or 6 are on my main account, something like that. I have not lost a game with it yet. Do I think it's going to happen with you guys as well? Maybe. I think she's very, very good, but she does require a little bit of practice. But at the same time, it's not going to be perfect. And then again, I just love that extra knockback range. Even if you're not slamming him into walls, just to get a Mal'Ganis out of the fight. Mal'Ganis is like, I'm going to sleep you. And I'm like, nah. Nah, bud. Like, you're gone. I'll just push you away, deal with you later. But yeah, I love this build of Auriel. So I'm currently sitting at 11 stacks of Reservoir of Hope. That is 825 extra energy, meaning 825 extra healing as well on those big heals. When the fights get crazy, it's nice to have that big heal. And you're going to see that come in handy quite a bit. But yeah, this is the full build that I recommend. The only things that I usually will change based off of the team comp is piercing, I might go converging or blinding. Reservoir, I might go will or wrath. And then light speed, I might go shield of hope. That's really all that I change. I almost always go these talents. All 1, 2, 3 or 1, 4, 7. I almost always go. I mean, look at that. Look at this. Look at that full energy bar again. Watch these big heals. I think I save it here. I save the heals because I want to see what happens. This is the only time I use my E that doesn't lead to a stun that I want it to lead to a stun. Almost the entire game. That's why I say be careful with your E, because you can really screw things up for your team if you don't do that stun, because you can push them away from your team. This guy, if he wasn't under-leveled, that would have been really scary, and I think I would have died there. But I still had res, and you can res yourself. So if he would have killed, like if he would have just focused me that whole time, and he was level 22 as well, then I would have just res myself, and we still would have won the game here. That is the Auriel build I recommend. I will pull up stats really quick just so you can kind of see. As far as healing goes, I out-healed an Ana. As far as damage goes, I did almost 10 times the amount of damage that Ana did. I mean, 9, I guess, times the amount of damage that Ana did, something like that. So I did a lot more damage than Ana. A lot of the kills we got, in fact, the first 3 kills that we got in this game would not have happened if I did not do the slam into the wall and then the Q. So I led to us getting that lead in the beginning, and then huge amount of healing throughout that game, as well as just a ton of value. Whenever we lost someone at the start of a fight, boom, res, and then it immediately was favorable. Because a lot of times when the teams are even, if they get a kill on you, you get a kill on them. Then you resurrect, and now it's a 5v4. So if the fights are even, Auriel wins the fight. If the fight is favorable, Auriel wins the fight. And if the fight is unfavorable, it happens. You know, but most healers aren't going to win unfavorable fights. That's just how it's going to work. I want to say the few people who can get away with it is like a really good Alex Straza that's going to be dropping down like a W, a dragon, a W with Qs in between that, as well as pacifying someone. Like, that's one of the few healers that can take a really, really bad situation and just do an overwhelming amount of healing and just dominate even when you're behind. But overall, most healers will lose when you're behind, and that's just how it happens. So Auriel's so strong because you'll likely win when you're even, and you'll win when you're ahead. And try it out, guys. Let me know what you think. I think she's one of the best healers in the game right now in the current meta. I'm expecting a nerf on Resurrect just because it is very, very strong. But I'm going to abuse it while it is still in its current state. I'm going to move up my Smurf, my main account, a little bit in rank. And then, I don't know. If it ends up getting nerfed, then I'll move on to a different healer. Or if it gets balanced, then we'll see where it goes. Thank you guys so much for watching, and feel free to check out any of my other videos.